So thanks everyone for coming along today to Michael's talk. Michael Fortune, as you know, I'd say at this stage, is a folklorist, and he's been collecting stories for a good while now. I know him from my college days. He did a lecture for us in NCAD, and this talk is a part of Aglafest, which is our horror festival here in Esker Arts. So we've had a couple of films on already, which were The Wicker Man on Thursday night and You Are Not My Mother last night, which would be relevant to this because that film is all about changelings and fairies and those darker creatures from our past. And we still have a couple more films left coming up. We have Texas Chainsaw Massacre tonight and November tomorrow night. But the main man tonight now is Michael, and I'm going to hand you over to him and enjoy.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Lee. Good stuff. Listen, thanks a million for coming along on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's funny, I got a couple of slashes after what I do with my name. So I'm from an art background, but you kind of moved into the area of folklore and stuff, just moved into the area of stories and people and what people do in lives. And I suppose then people say, technically this is what you do, but I didn't train to be that, you know, that kind of way. But I suppose I have an interest in, I suppose, the lives of ordinary people, what we do, things that we do, things that are unusual, things that are very regional, things that are make us, you know, there's, things that are very unique and special in different areas. But also I'm interested in the bigger picture, because sometimes I think sometimes the bigger picture is important, the bigger picture, especially around Halloween. And that's what I'll touch on today with you. I'm going to go through a load of stuff and kind of leave you thinking more in some ways, and look at the Halloween tradition in Ireland and how it crosses over into Europe as well, and cross over to our neighbours in Scotland and Wales, and over in the Isle of Man, and even in parts of England, and obviously the other side of the Atlantic as well. Because sometimes false narratives kind of develop, and I suppose this is just a way of teasing some of those stuff out. So come here to me, like you probably know all this stuff yourselves, right? But the four things I kind of identified, right, around Halloween. One was harvest. It was our harvest festival, right? That's important. Next thing I suppose we'd touch on is disguise and mumming, dressing up, disguise and mumming. That was a really important part. The next thing then would be, I suppose, divilment and messing. That was always a really important stream of it. And the third one, or the fourth one, which would be the dead, remembering the dead. And that was always, again, that's a central thing. That's why we're looking at All Souls Day and All Saints Day. And there's loads of stuff around the puka and look around that, which I'll touch on here again with you later on. So that's the kind of the four kind of principal things that I see. And I suppose it's like it's a mixed up ball of wool, and it's hanging them out a little bit, to unravel them out to get things to make more sense, right? But even just to look at this one, we'll start off with you. I kind of go through stuff, different names for Halloween night, right? And these are just Wexford, Wicklow and Billy Carlow, right? But I know some of you here in Offaly had these words as well, right? So All Hollands, Visitor Night, Black Man's Night was always big in North Wexford, and it was called Black Man's Night, and it was nothing to do, the racial thing wasn't there, it was literally because the lads would have blackened their faces up, so when they called the houses then, that they wouldn't be recognised. That's where it came from. And some of the early accounts of Black Man's Night I came across in 1798 of yeomen burning down houses in Munamulin in May, June 1798, and the descriptions were the men all had blackened faces. And even you see the old pictures of robbers years ago, they all had blackened faces, so that you wouldn't recognise them, right? So that's how it became popular in parts of Gorey and but really our black men in Wexford were gate crashers and violence. We'd also colleague night, which is Wexford, Carlow, Biddy, and colleague, know the word for colleague for the not just the last sheaf in the field, just a colleague, or the witch is a colleague as well. Yeah. So the last sheaf in the field was always a colleague. And they called it up in Ulster in particular, and it was always cut down. It was probably at harvest time, but it was called colleague night. And I know in Sligo, a plaited straw rope was a colleague, right? So I think the straw mask that the straw boys used to wear were colleague. So we get that down there. Gate lift night, because we touched on that later on, because we're robbing gates. Over in West Wicklow, Juggling night, Puka night, and then Snap Apple night, it came called that. You were saying, was it?
Trick night, which is probably related to the gate lifting.
Yeah, trick night, yeah. Over in Newfoundland, where all the Irishmen, Southeast Irishmen in particular, they called it Call Cannon night. Why? Because it got called Cannon night. So we call it the night what we you know, like, just to make sense of it. And that's the word, I came across, can I show it to you now? That was the word I came across in Offaly, the Huggilas. And that makes sense to a little verse or a little song I'll play for you at the very end. And I came across it in the road, and I came across living memories. People thought we used to call it going out in the Huggilas. And down around one part of Wexford, we used to call it going out in the Tobies, down around Ballamore in one particular part of Wexford. So again, this idea that we all call it the same wasn't folk practice, doesn't operate like that, you know. There's no one right or wrong, you know, the kind of way. And out in the Bookies as well, and out in the Bookies, I've heard people call it, so again, and different names for it, right? Here's a map now that might upset some people. Use your ground because you're in it. Right? and it's clear, I said there's a couple of dots here. I'd say, listen, this is Kevin Danaher. He's a Limerick man, great collections of folklore, and he mapped where he felt the guys in tradition, the mask wearing tradition wasn't Halloween. And again, it goes all our notions that it was widespread. This was done in the late 40s, right? And it wasn't as widespread as we think it was. Now, this is not a map of straw boys, a wedding tradition. It's not a map of Duran boys. It's not, because that was Tipperary, Offaly, Limerick. You know, it's just of the Halloween tradition of dressing up and calling the houses, right? And again, I said there's a couple of dots missing here and there, but by and large, when you squint your eyes, you see where it was, mostly that part of the country. And the big debate is, where did it come from? You know, that's the question. Did it come over from Scotland? Did it come over from the Isle of Man? Was it a recent re-import again? Did it come into the cities and spread? Did it come into the Quarry Camp and spread out? It's unusual where you have it into the air, isn't it? And it's spread into the Midlands. So again, we never know the man is dead, but the study is there all the same. It's an interesting one. There was an event we did back in 2016 in the National Library called the Visitor Colleagues, so that's neither here nor there for you, right? But I suppose that is interesting, that idea of where these traditions come from, how they move around. So they move around with people. Now I suppose if we've got traditions, we can just get our mobile phones and things come at all angles to us. You know, the kind of way our television, our radio. One thing I want to point out is that my own mother and them, they were always saying, Granny's accounts were from the 1920s, born 1912. She said that the older lads used to go out on Halloween night, and they would come around to the houses and they'd get something, they'd get food to drink, they'd have to eat a little bit and they'd leave again, but they always wore masks. The idea was they'd gather up money or food to have a party a couple of days later, and that was common. Even in the middle of Dublin City, you'd find that Dun Laoghaire and places like that. The idea of getting something to have a party later on in the houses, that was important. Money was always the big thing with us, and people say the house, I mean, no begging racket. And you know what? It was a begging racket. That's what it was. Even the Duran boy traditions are begging racket. You talk to any lads in Duran, and now it's done for charity in a lot of cases, but there's a way to get rounding up money, you know, for a party afterwards or whatever way you can use it, right? So, and I know my mother's case, she said the little ones didn't go out until about the 50s, 60s. That was rural Wexford. But I know the townies were going out in the 40s. The townies told me they were going out in North Wexford. And it's even interesting to watch that map, go back to that map. I know people from South Wexford, and they said, no, we didn't go out. And they're right, they didn't go out. I know people from Donegal, Joe McGowan, or people from Mayo, they said to me, we never went out. We went out Halloween night, and we acted the Egypt call, Divilment and things like that, but we didn't wear the masks and call the houses, right? And he said that really, I think it only really began widespread, 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, like the St. Bridget's Cross tradition. We assumed everyone made them. Probably look, they didn't make them. I think primary schools actually were probably the spread of St. Bridget's Crosses around the country in the 70s and 80s, right? And teachers spread it, right? But back to this, right? Even just talking harvesting with you, right? Man for, there for, the end of the harvest. That's where we're at now, right? And coming into harvest. And food was always important. And one of the things I suppose, and you did it in Offaly, and I've filmed it and done it in Offaly over the years, is we put up the Maybush in Wexford. And right again, when you see the Maybush being put up, the Maybush was mostly, I'll show you another map. There's a neighbour of mine, Poke has passed away since this. And do you know what a Maybush is?
Yeah.
You put a Maybush first of May, or even the 1st of May, and you put it up to welcome the summer and keep the fish rogues and the fairies and the bad luck away from your growing crops. By this time of year, 6 months later, you're going into the dark and depths of winter. So basically there's loads of games and loads of things around going into the dark part of the year. So there are two important parts of the year, one going into the light and one going into the dark, and loads of little years around that. But the Maybush was a great tradition, still very strong at home. I see it on the Midlands too. But again, if you see the Maybush again, see where it is? Up to the smart country, right? And this guy's maps are accurate because there's a lovely tradition you get in the west of sprinkling flowers on the threshold of the doors, like little yellow flowers and primroses. And you come across this one little dot here, and I can bring you the houses still do it, you know. So the stuff is accurate enough, right? So sometimes it can blow notions away because we all, you know, the way if we do the RTE version of Irish history, you know what I mean? Here's the crack. Every St. Stephen's Day, where does the report from the Renboys come from? It doesn't come from Offaly. Doesn't come from Wexford. It comes from Dingle. Every year. And what happens is people build up the narrative, oh, it's happening down there, and we don't have it. And I get people drop it and go, oh, we don't do it. I know lads at home who totally go out. The travelling community go out on St. Stephen's Day, and they go out because they're going out to get a few pounds, get a few pence stacked, they have a bit of crack as well, right? And I'm sure it goes on here in Offaly as well, really strong. But it's funny, we can be yeah, so I suppose there's a way of saying if you don't write your own history, someone else is going to do it for you. And you usually make a bag of it, right? So there's a reason why we do stuff. Back to the harvest, right? Harvest, damsons, apples, right? Things like this coming into September, October, that's what it was. One of the things we were always told was, some people say you wouldn't eat fruit after the 29th of September, we'll say Michaelmas Day, And people said that the fairies put a call on them, right? Right? Now, if you go, from my experience, Nicola say it wasn't cut off, because if you're hungry enough, you still ate an apple in the middle of October, right? It was still good. I still ate a slow in the middle of October, it was good, right? So that's rubbish. And I'm going to let you listen to these women in Mayo, because most of my experience was November's night. The 1st of November was the cut-off day. And after that, they said the fairies were out, and either they did their business on them, as I said in a polite way, the women would say to me, or they spat on them, or whatever. They'd always do something to the fruit, right? And I'll let you listen to these women from Mayo, just let you hear their voices. These would have been recorded. What I do is I record for projects ads, and you'd be just 20 years recording, and the stuff is alive in your head or alive on a hard drive, you know, the kind of way, and you pull it out for different things. So I'll let you listen to these women. Here.
It was the 1st of November. Yeah. You would not, you were supposed not to touch a blackberry after that, because
the round night before.
Yes.
That's in November. The heat on the blackberry.
Yes.
On the slow.
The slow.
And they were, you don't twist that back.
It was alright to pick the blackberries or the apples, before November, but as soon as the fairies were on November, and then November's night, no more after that.
Oh, we were sure of that, really.
Yes.
Because I remember one day we were told, I was young that time, and I had one in my mouth, and I was worried a bit, I threw it out.
And you'll have to be broken in your lung,
I'll stop there, but you have hundreds of these clips, and you probably hear these stories yourselves. And I actually was trying to find a recording. I recorded a man out in Ballingar years ago, and he had it, and he called it the pook on it be out, and then he went, the pook on it be out, doing the wee on him. And I was talking to Lee earlier on, the puka, or the puck, right? It crops up in, was it Shakespeare's Midsummer, crops up then, I don't know whether it's ours. The way sometimes we put a photo on something we think is ours, right? We say like word crack, the kind of way we claim it's ours, and all of a sudden puts a spot on it. And it was only there since the 70s. But the puka, like even a home in Wexford we call a snail a pookie snail. And he's ever called a snail a pookie snail?
Yes.
Or down in water, a shelly pookie. And the pookie is the reference to the little horns that they put out.
Yeah.
Did you ever pick up a snail as a child and say, shelly pookie, show me your horns, shelly pookie, show me your horns? And then the third time the snail put out his horns. Granny used to call it a shield bug, a shit puka. A shit puka was a little nutted shield bugs because to give up the stink, they also little things. And even the puka on goat, So this idea, it's an interesting one as well. Even the word puka can mean the devil, it can mean different things, but it kind of meant bad, you know what I mean? In the same bracket as bad would be for the woman mentioned there, the devil and the puka. But anyway, a very practical reason. You don't eat slows and things after a certain time because they're gone. It could be worms in, it could be maggots in them, it could be child get sick. So there's a practical reason. So back to that kind of stuff. Now, an interesting one for you was, we fix those. We used to make slow wine as children at Granny at home, and I'd make it down again with the girls at home, right? And slow wine, she was a pioneer, and it's rough as Jesus, right? And she, I said she was a pioneer. So it was literally get a bottle and you put salts into it. There was no real science to this. Sugar, drop of water, close it in and dig a hole and bury it up, and leave it there, and then dig it up then on Halloween night. That was always the treat. And the gas thing is, if you look at the cross-European stuff, there it is coming out of the ground for you. And it was very raw enough now to be actually drank it, you know. But the gas thing was, if you look at down in where do I have seen it? I've seen it in Italy, I've seen it in northwestern Spain and Galicia, where they taste their young wine on St. Martin's night. St. Martin's night, the 11th of November. Now St. Martin's night is key to our Halloween story because we have got two traditions going across Europe, but there's about 11 days in between them, right? And their similarities are identical, right? In ways when you pull back the strings, right? So there was just slow wine, right? Other kind of things around food. We all know around food and Halloween, the idea in life, the main objective in life is get married, like, you know, that kind of way, right? But some of you probably remember as well, our bracts years ago, making your own bracts. Like, what did you put into them? Like,
That was a stick.
Stick?
A matchstick. A coin.
Coin,
Holy metal?
Ring. What else?
Rag.
A rag.
A rag, yeah.
And it's wrapped up in a bit of
Pea.
Baking paper or something.
Greaseproof paper, yeah. And it's funny, even the time, like, you wouldn't dare put it, because it meant market straight. That's what it was going to be, hardship. That's what they said it was going to be. You're going to get hardship if you picked a stick or a match in it, right? And even the things are heavy, that kind of, the things are heavy enough in them. And then obviously then when it became commercialised, because the ring became the only token, the main token. But even interesting, just to go back again, the Welsh are bread on. Barra loaf is a cake as well, barra for us as well, and the Welsh do their own version of a bar bread, right? So the idea that we invented it, lads, we didn't, right? The Welsh do their version of it as well. It was and called Cannon. Here's another interesting one. And I came across a man in Kildare who did this up around Robertstown, and I came across 2 people in Wexford did it, and I came across loads of people in Newfoundland. Newfoundland is the island of Canada, where loads of South East went, right? But they didn't do it. They called Cannon. The Irishman was all did called Cannon. They're the same crack as us, but they used to put their tokens into their pancakes on Shrove Tuesday. Now, did any of you come across that in this part of the country? I came across one man in Midlands who did it. I won't show the video, but he said one of the brothers swallowed just like pigs. The mother threw the pancakes out and throw them into themselves. And then she said, my wedding ring was in one of them. And I said, the mother played the game out, she waited for days. And then she said, I had a wedding ring all along. Right? That's the story, and he's been telling me out the base, right? So yeah, you put it, and the ones in Newfoundland put the rings in, the exact same little tokens we put in for look for your future. You're going into Lent, I suppose, as well, right? But pancakes. Here's an account. There's a great man called Pat Kennedy from North Wexford up in Kilmichael, and he's lovely accounts. It's rare to get accounts from the 1800s, good accounts from the 1800s. And he's had a lovely account about people breaking up the cake of bread, which is what I assume it would have been probably farm back or the cake, into several parts, and everyone took a bit in his hand. And when they were before the door in the line, the first flung his piece against the door and cried out, "Hunger go away to the Sosna." To this day 12 months, right? So hunger go away to England, go away to the English, right? And I came across that account in Donegal recently. Someone said they had it with New Year's, but it's interesting that they used the 12 month. They used almost like Halloween was the first was the start of that year. You with me? There's a reference to the start of the year going into the winter. And I suppose it was like, you think back years ago, people were like, our lives have changed so quickly in 30, in 50, 60, 70, 100 years. Like people are storing spuds and spud pits. My father did it. Now we can go buy anything we want. You know how our lives change, so you can rely on what you grew and what you saved up. That's Kennedy's account. Now I'm going to start a row here now because I always like starting rows sometimes, right? One of these we always grew up with at home, and Mammy at home, they said everyone's house would have pot called Cannon on the go on Halloween night. Was that done here not for you at all? No. And it's funny, again, it's one of those stories that it was everywhere. And if you go to the school's folklore scheme, you type in called Cannon, Westmeath comes up real strong, Wexford comes up strong. You know what? I think there's no account of called Cannon in Cork or Kerry. And you say, actually, they had a version of it. But they did, I think there are different names on it, like Cali or Brucey in Mayo to call it, maybe just a different name on it. And called Cannon was also eaten at different times of the year. You know, some people ate it on Good Friday, some people ate it at what do you call it? In August for Lunas, I've come across people eating for that, and also for Little Christmas, people ate it, so they used to eat it as well. But our version of home was always like the smell of called Cannon on Halloween night was always the case. Nights would make it, but our one was always spuds, head of cabbage, parsnips, onions, and butter. And you know a bit of song, the scallions in it. And the Dubs love curly kale, and theirs. I don't know if Dublin had curly kale, but the country people, we'd never had curly kale. They always said they fit it to be Catholic, that's what they said for curly kale. Right? Cabbage. And there it is. It's a simple one pot job. You see dodgy recipes online. So your onions on the bottom, your parsnips are the key to a good Wexford one. Cabbage on top, spuds on top, leaves on top, and then half a pint of water and boil it away in one pot job. Right? That's it. And the Welsh have a version of it. The Welsh have a couple of versions of it. Depending on South Wales in particular. Mash of 9 sorts, mash of 7 sorts, depending on how many vegetables you have, you threw it in, right? And they did the same in Newfoundland, and would have used carrot or turnip rather than parsnip, right? So it depends on what vegetables you had, you know. Does that make sense to you? But the called Cannon's lovely. It's one of those lovely
My
things.
mother at home always said you have to use white vegetables. She'd never put carrots or anything like that in it. Now the only bit of colour would be the green cabbage.
Okay, yeah.
But it was kind of sacrilege if you put anything else into it. That's exactly why she'd make it now.
It's serious?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'd
yeah.
still make it.
Yeah.
And she makes it for the local pub for Halloween night.
That's definitely,
You can't keep it out.
Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be
it's out of them.
yeah. And it's funny now because Aileen will be in other counties, and we should go into Waterford. And the wouldn't have it at all. And you'd imagine like the neighbouring county would have this tradition, but they don't have it. It's funny.
I make it up here now, like that. My husband-in-law said, when are you making candy? Because he never had it.
Yeah.
Whereas we would have always had it.
Yeah, that's funny. Yours is identical to our one, my one.
Yeah, very same. But
Yeah.
I said no coloured, like no carrots, no nothing. She said the parsnips, the onion, and a bit of cabbage.
Yeah, isn't it gas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's lovely. The other thing, actually, one thing I forgot to say, and I know that they did this in Dublin. Colcannon was actually very big in Dublin, but the ingredients were different. You know, there was so many country people going in, but then again, it could have been from the ground up from there as well. Money in the Colcannon, did you use it, Dad?
Yeah.
Always have money in the Colcannon, and we call it money dinner as children. And again, back to the tokens again, back to the stuff of sticking in a coin wrapped up. That's gas now. I'll let you listen to a bit of Colcannon when a song here. You can sing it. Somebody's told me that Mary Black popularised this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever eat Colcannon made with lovely pickled cream? With the greens and scallions mingled like a picture in a dream? Did you ever make a hole on top to hold the melting flake of the creamy flavoured butter that our mothers used to make? Yes, you did, so you did, so did he, and so did I. And the more I think about it, sure the nearer I am to cry. Oh, weren't them the happy days when troubles we had not, and our mothers made Colcannon in the little still pond.
And I'll stop it there and then talk about boxing and stuff. But I think that could be one of the reasons why scallions were used. Because it wouldn't be known. I don't think, like, from talking to anyone else, there were no scallions this time of year. To be well gone by that stage, you know, to be Indians already, but we scallions. Maybe during the summer we'd mash it up, you know, But I know it was eaten at different times of the year, and there's no right or wrong when it comes to food traditions. Here's another one for you. I talked to you about the Europeans, what they do, right? Now we can say what we share in ours is the Welsh did it, the Scots did it, the English did it, the Cornish did it. And the Isle of Man did a lot of our stuff is shared. Now it's shared because we're close and we share the same time calendar and all that kind of crack. But the mainland Europeans, there's a shift in the calendars in 1752, I think it was March, right? Our New Year's started, quote me this, I think it was March, 23rd of March until the 1750s, and then it changed. So now our New Year starts on the 1st of January. And you go, geez, that doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But apparently, any accountants, anyone involved in the accounts will tell you that sometimes you pay was the end of March, was it something?
Yeah, the first of April for a long time. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
The tax year.
Yeah, the tax year started then. So, and then you try to go, geez, how are the ones mainland European, right? Now here's one thing, some of you might know this already, right? So if we go back to March, the first month, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. September is the 7th month, right? I've even looked at breakdown of the Latin of it, the Irish word. Shocked, set, hooked, with me? I'll just making sense, right? And that just makes sense, right? And in between that, what happened was in mainland Europe, you did the Spanish and the Italian and French, the same kind of name and numbers as ours, right? Is that it was just a shift in the calendar, right? Give or take, they said 11, 12 days, right? And there's a day called St. Martin's Eve. Now, I know I recorded people in Offaly who did this in the home in Wexford as well. The 11th of November is St. Martin's night, and the eve would be the 10th of it. Do any of you ever remember killing a fowl that night in Galway or any of them? Spilling blood. I've recorded loads of County Mayo. I've come across accounts written at home in Wexford. I've only come across one woman who remembered seeing it being done. A man in Mayo called Joe McGowan again, he photographed the last woman up in Sligo. He was starting Sligo was from. They used to kill a fowl, kill a cock, usually a cock, not a hen. And if you had a goose, you're plentiful enough, you'd have a goose. And the idea was just sprinkle blood. And you'd go to cut the throat, for rough enough times, but to remember that. I remember recording a woman in Mayo, and she said the warm blood, the father putting a sign of the cross on their heads with blood, right? And the blood was put in the four corners and over the thresholds of the door to keep evil away. So it's a Christian practice, and some people say it's pre-Christian, but I'd say it's probably a fairly good Christian practice. But I'll come back to the cock thing in a second, but this is down in Malta, by the way, 11th of November, St. Martin's night. What did the children do? Call around their little bag, look for stuff. They call around, look for stuff in Holland. They call around looking for stuff in Germany. And if we probably there's more places too if we went looking, right? So this idea of this, that we have this trick or treating, it's not, it's there. Ours is slightly different. We always take different routes and different angles over time, right? But they still do it. And take focus on their little lanterns in a second, because that'll be interesting, because I'll talk about their lanterns in a while as well, right? So this idea of calling and getting nuts and fruits and stuff and money was there, right? Little sweet cakes were cooked, right? And I suppose we're living in the world now, we're joining up dots that we were joining up before. You know, we're more connected now than we ever were. And I keep saying there's more to connect people than divide people. You can see it now, even in classrooms, there's kids from Poland, there's kids from Latvia, there's people, you know, especially the European ones, right? Another one to find out for you as well, is 11 of the 11 St. Martin's night. The mainland Europeans have it on the 11th minute of the 11th hour, 11th day of the 11th month is when all the crack starts, right? That's when the winter festivities starts, right? And that goes, that dressing up and going out, which they do, and going out to go out for St. Stephen's Day, the same as we would do Polish, we'll go out in strawberry costumes, in the same way, and that will end then come Shrove Tuesday. And I go down to the Basque Country, and they just blow out, and that week before Shrove Tuesday, it's a blowout, like that's a blowout. Then Lent happens and comes, and then you do nothing, right? You just I don't know what you do. You go off crunchies. Right? And so that's when they're done. Now it's an interesting one because we all know from our own history here, like in England, Scotland, Wales, and anyone who's probably interested in Ireland as well, the 11th of 11th meant Armistice Day, meant the day of the gun stop in the First World War. So it's funny, there's two parallels there, right? Now, there's back to St. Martin's night, right? This is that was what was said. It wasn't a great night for one of those young fellas, right? It used to be born in April, May, and then sure there'd be no good then. It'd end up in the pot that night, right? And it's interesting. It literally was on Canva of all places. And when you find an image like that in Canva, you go, okay, it shows you how popular it is. This is a little image from Holland, and it's St. Martin's night image, and it's a little lantern with a little goose or the duck, whatever one of these, right? You know what I mean? So they still do it. If you want to go to mainland Europe, they'll always have the goose or the duck that night on the 11th, right? But it'll also have some parks, not everywhere, but have the house call and stuff, right? Now, down at home in Wexford, we would not go fishing on Martin's night. That was always a big thing. Never go fishing on St. Martin's night. Our millwheel would never turn on St. Martin's night because St. Martin was killed by a millwheel. So the fishermen from Arklow down as far as Wexford town will not go fishing on that night. And some of them are doubly superstitious and won't go fishing on the 10th or the 11th, something to do with it. And I know commercial fishermen, I've recorded commercial fishermen that they said that they wouldn't go out. And I wouldn't mind, it's prime time for getting herons off, you know, it's the time the herons will be in, but lads will not go out to that night. There's a big story going back to the 1700s about that. So there's St. Martin's night, I'll touch on that in a second, but the idea of that crossover, does that make sense to you? Right? It makes sense, right? Now here's a word, and you have that here in Offaly as well, don't you? Vizard. Vizard for probably French, came into English, and then came over to us then, right? But I find it very hard, I only found it in Wexford, South Carlow, Wicklow, right into Wicklow, and then Offaly is the only place I've ever come across it as well. Maybe it could be other few places, but I don't know where it came from. Possibly plantation, I don't know. But the idea of wearing a mask, right? You're dressing up. But the idea of dressing up, come here to me. The idea of dressing up, I'm trying to remember what I was supposed to say to you now. I suppose talk about Halloween and dressing up. There's loads of stories out there about why you dress up, right? And you hear them in the Isle of Man, you hear them here. Oh, we dressed up to fool the dead. That was to fool the pookas or the devils that came back to take the evil spirit, or take the spirit. We dressed up as the dead to kind of fool the spirits. That's one of the story, because the dead walked among us that night over those couple of nights. That's a story, and I suppose it's like Spider Baby and Leonard Head lads after going on many legs, right? Kind of way. And especially throw a bit of woo-woo into it, you throw a bit of different things into it, and it just becomes, there's a kind of fascination, I think, sometimes of going back to the depths of time. You know, this kind of people love to go back to the depths of time, and everything's pre-Christian, right? It's cool to know everything's pre-Christian at the moment, right? But sometimes they're not, they're layered. They're just layered. They're layers of practices, right? So this is my mother, about 1992 or 3, and remember the map I showed you where it was really strong? That's where it was really strong. And every Halloween night she get dressed up, and there's a great chance. I keep saying to people, it's a great chance for her to get dressed up because you can dress up and have a bit of crack. It's a great crack in being not yourself for one night, right? Or can be yourselves the whole time, right? So especially if I give license, like she would dress up, and I'll show you a video in a while, and women in particular would have to cover up their hands. Cover up your hands so you wouldn't know where your hands were. You put a bag on your feet to cover up your shoes. And that's the other thing as well, when they went out, now we can go and clothes are everywhere. Years ago, you might have one top coat, one pair of trousers. You're like so people know it. I know I recognize it. So you change it. And especially men, women, there was great time for cross-dressing as well before. You know, it was just like, women dressed up as men dressed up as women, and she just had a bit of crack. And the idea was, you know this yourselves, like, did you dress, was that strong here in this part of the country, dressing up? Yeah. And And the whole idea, you know yourself, the idea of calling to someone's house and knowing, and people not knowing who you are, there's great power in it, right? But there's also great understanding in that people will actually let you in. And I've always said the Halloween experience in rural areas is different than cities and towns, completely different. Because I know neighbours who would expect to see our girls called down now on Halloween night, and they would kind of just are expecting them. And there's a bit, just, you know, going into their kitchen, the warm kitchen, you're sweating underneath all this stuff, you know, that kind of stuff, right? And then you're changing your voice and all that kind of play that you do, right? And that's to me, that's lovely. And you can't do it physically in the towns. You couldn't have every child in the country coming into your sitting, you're not going to way, right? You just couldn't do it, right? So it's different, and I think it still lives on a little bit there with us. There's a community side to it, but dressing up, anything at all, pillowcases, lovely stuff like this, bombing, whatever, aquario, lampshades, anything at all. I came across this in Navan a couple of years ago. Girls about to bring in stuff from home, and that was a Halloween mask she made. So it was a sleeve, a jumper. It was a pretty black marker and a sleeve, a jumper. But that's old school, but it's still contemporary old school, you know. Now there's me with the girls, our was going out as well. And this idea of going, the other thing people forget as well, the idea of calling someone, being out in the dark. Knowing you're a child, being out in the dark is magic. Because it's magic, you know, you're cold and everything else goes with it, and there's a license to it, and you call it your neighbours. But there's also a chance to go to pubs, right? And where I'm living now is where I grew up was different. I grew up on the coast, and on the coast we always had, now we would have Dubliners coming down, right? And Dubliners would come down, we'd have a what you call it, a night in the pub, right, basically. And it was a great chance for young lads. These lads were 14, let's say, 15. And what you do is put on a mask, black in your face, and you go in and you get a bottle, right? These were taken 2005s, right? So it was a great chance to act the Egypt, right? And I'll show you how to use it in a second. I'll show you another bit of that in a second. But that was, and you'd sit there all night, and you could be dressed up, and you could be sweating. And the whole idea was that no one would know you. And that was the crack. While some of the people who came down from Dublin would be dressing up. You know that kind of way? You dress up, or we'd be dressing down. You know that kind of way? And there's just differences. But anyway, I'm going to show you a clip of my mother here. And that was, when we were chaps, Mammy used to call up the grannies next door. And granny didn't know who she was, and Mammy came home with something, and we used to have the best crack ever, you know. And I was out in 2005, and I said, "Oh, she's at this again, right? This little crack again, right?" I was out there one day, and I was talking about there one Halloween night, and I filmed that. The camera with me in the back of the car, and I filmed it. And I went back for 10 years, and I filmed the whole thing for 10 years, every year. Now I won't show you that, but I'd have the sisters dressing her up, and she thought it was the best thing ever, right? But it was 2014, October Halloween night, 2014. She was 102 at this stage, right? So she was going on, right? Now she died a couple of months after that, or 3 months after that. But I brought my little ones into her, and I said to her, I brought them into the hospital. I said, better, because she wasn't going to be home for Halloween. And I got her to tell her, I said, listen, who was that? Was, you know, I said, do you know who was calling up all them years? I don't know. She said, no, I don't. I said, Mammy, how long? I said, and she said, yeah. And that was the end of it. There was no row, and that was it. But I'm going to show you a clip of it now, give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, come here to me, they let me do it because obviously they could ignore the camera. And I was just calling into the house. And here the thing is, well, it's got all the old school stuff, hands up, your hands covered up. But then it's got the cheap Chinese pound shop mask as well. So all those layers are there which are real. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I think I hope to God we don't get to a stage where we have people telling us what to do with our traditions. Or it has to be a biodegradable mask. It has to be environmentally friendly. It has to be this. Because when that happens, and I see it with the neighbour stuff at home, people telling me what to do with, you know, the box ticking. You know the box ticking? That's the way for that, you know, you have to get it, right? So anyway, I won't go, you can go there.
You have to dance or sing or something. That's what we do. Just don't do it like that. Have to come in and say something.
Have to come in and say something.
Well, you're right. Oh, you don't even think you do. When you get married, you were not going to go on with them.
Are you alright, person?
Well, yeah. See, you're nice enough. saying, no.
No more.
Oh, no. You know, this is not Friday, you know. This is not Friday.
I got a few pennies. Pull out, man. Wouldn't do a thing for herself.
No, but I had the phone.
Well, no more.
One of them little plastic bags on your feet. Yeah, oh yeah. Like some heroin, but trying to use that old coat with it.
And it goes on and on and on and on. But come here, it's lovely because even the time of evening, 6 o'clock, doing the rosary. You know, that's the time when it starts to get dark and you start calling to people's houses and stuff like that. But there it is, it's completely real, full colour and gritty and everything else that goes with it. But that's what's kind of lovely about it. And I'm going to pull up the photographs there. But this idea of dressing up, call your neighbours, Colin, like you did it. You did the rent around here and awfully, of course you did, right? Coming around at home, getting something, going out on the biddies down in Kerry. This is Homer, I think Homer Sykes' photograph. They did the biddy, and they did the biddies in Kildare and Carlow. Here comes some Bridget dressed in white, give us some money to honour the night. And here comes some, it's always getting money, the penny, even the English stuff, the Guy Fawkes, a penny for Guy Fawkes. We had those Halloween penny stuff, you know, a penny for the hookah, things like that. But so this idea then of getting dressed up and going out over from, say, from Halloween to Lent was there. That tradition wasn't just Halloween. There's our little ones going for eggs. And there's one part of Wexford where they go for eggs still, and they go over to Finland. What's they go for eggs, right? They dress up at Halloween to go out, Easter, and they go look for eggs off people, like a googie egg. But it was done to dress them up like that. One part of Wexford. Then this is probably ran. It's under Clare, I think it's Clare, and here's Poland, right? Straw by mass in Poland. Just Poland strawberries are identical areas. Same mass, and they go out of Lent, to go out actually eat it over Lent as well. So these ideas, and I could show you more European stuff, but that idea of starting on Halloween night or starting at 11 and running through the Lent was right across all of our things, dressing up and all, and house calling, right? One thing as well, we can't have a load of people from Offaly went, but a load of people from our part of the country went over to Newfoundland and went over, and they brought with them the ran tradition. So you get a ran boys over there still, they still go hunt a ran. The very formal ran with the little bird and the little tree calling around. You know, like you get in, the ran can be different in parts of the country. You know, you can have a very set play, or you can have Aegis, right? You know, the kind of way you can have one or the other, right? And that's the very set play one. And then you have this, then you have the Aegis as well, right? And the gas thing, we at home, we called it, these kind of as the fools. Remember, here my grandmother called it, I looked like a fool, right? And over in Newfoundland, I came across this word for them. Unchak, straight away from us. Oh, the Unchaks are coming, right? Straight from us, right? Straight from the Irish from us, right? And again, if you look at the States, early images in the States, and things began to change, I suppose, with commercialism and things like that. We're talking 50s, and we started getting costumes. Remember the idea of dressing up? Well, we would dress up to dress down, some people would dress up. You know the kind of way, what are you going to be? You know the kind of way, right? So they're just, and that's changed. That's naturally, that's cut back into us. Again, these are photographs from the village at home, lads at home who we know, going out. We put up a show house in pub on here, and we get lads like that. And I've backed at the face here. These would be people who would come down from Dublin, maybe living there, or holiday homes, come down, and they'd always dress up as something, a bishop or something, you know that kind of way. While then the locals would just dress up like that, right? Not to know you, right? And back to your story about Call Cannon, that's exactly what this is called Cannon, right? All the pots of Call Cannon were always made on that night, right? Another thing that we touched on earlier on, so there's the mum in disguise thing. So it's not just ours, and right across Europe, and obviously in America and stuff. And we've re-imported versions of it ourselves, you know that kind of way. But I was talking with it, it's funny I said this. You hear people cribbing about the American stuff. The American, you know that sometimes when we try to own something, we try to diss something else as well, right? And I've thought about it over the years. I've always said to myself, we let so much stuff nosedive here ourselves. We said, backwards stuff. Like the main Bush in Wexford took a nosedive in the 70s when we joined the EU and got better educated and all this. They were official. Why would you want to be doing all that crack, right? And we let so much slip. Every county in the country did their ran by it. And I guarantee you, not just only a handful of companies still do it, only little pockets of it, right? So we let things drop for those reasons. But it's funny, and I think what's the thing, the profit always comes from 5 miles outside the village, or you can only trust someone who comes in with a suitcase. I know that kind of, that we have great faith in someone else, right? And I think there's an argument there that what happened when it became popular in America, we are now reassessing ourselves a little bit, you know, that kind of way. That's okay, we can do it now, right? Now we really own it then, you know, that kind of way, right? Now we're fighting the Scots and the Manx, because they're all claiming they had it as well, right? In the meantime. But back to this, here's a great thing going on. Lee said it was done up in County Loud, it was done in Wexford, it had to be done in Offaly. Yeah, of course it was. Robin Gates at Halloween. It was a big harmless, but it wasn't harmless really if you're a farmer and you're stopping it. Yeah. You were telling me that your teacher used to take in the...
Yeah, in the school, in primary school, they used to take on the night before Halloween, they used to unscrew the gates and bring them inside.
Yeah, and it went on all over the country. Gate lift night, some people called it, and it went on the north. I came across it in upstate New York as well. So either probably we brought it over, I'd say. And the lads at home in the village right now, they would just take a lot to lift the gate now, to be honest with you. Big wrought iron gates. And I used to find them outside the chapel because the next day was All Saints Day and it was a mass day, holy day. So the lads would go up and they'd find their gate outside the chapel. Bring it on with it, right? So gate lift night. There's loads of theories about the food and the spirits and stuff. So another way theories grow. I remember like Spider Baby and Mattered Head, that kind of just loads of legs grow. There may have been truth in it, right? But I doubt people would have had gates, as many gates in ancient times. You know that kind of way? Yeah, you know that kind of way. I think
there's a town thing as well, not just out of the country where you drop garden gates, you know.
Yeah. It's unreal, isn't it? And all over the country. And I came across this last night, it was late last night, I was looking up, there's a great archive called the Welsh Newspapers Online, sticking into Google, and it fell out in Antrim, right? An Irish farmer, poor local the names and everything, was arrested near Ballycastle in Antrim, charged with firing a woman of a young called McAllister, who was one of her party playing practical jokes in connection with the celebration of Halloween. Right? So lads were shocked doing it, and I was telling them I was only in Gorey the night, and we had a tradition at home, and I came across in Offaly as well, horning are blown for the weddings. I came across in West Offaly in Burr. Say there'd be lads getting married who wouldn't be popular. She might be popular, or he might be popular. Right, that was one of the things. And young lads in late teens, early 20s would target them. They'd literally go around blowing cow horns or bottles, and they'd blow leading up to the wedding, on the honeymoon night itself as well, and then could be days or weeks afterwards. And man told me the night he's in the newspaper cutting a fella that was shot for doing it. And it went on until the 70s. Like my village, Ballygarrett, village below it's Kilmuckridge, and I know one of the men was known as, they were called the Cruelty Gang. So they're like a gang, they were called a Cruelty Gang because they used to go around tormenting. One of them was alive still. He said, oh yeah, we did that, right? And the last account I came across was in the 70s, fellas going out with a battery and a horn of a car and just annoying people, right? So obviously the farmer here in Antrim about the same, when he was shotgun, right? He was in, do you remember these games?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So that's the game. And one of the things, a little bit of badness in it. My big one is she loves a bit of badness. So the children, you know, you crack, put your face in, right? But she always hides a chestnut in it. There's something just to get a bit of an edge, right? And you come across a lot of the games as that. I'll show you examples in a second. There's a bit of an edge to some of the games as well. That's not just a bit of crack, right? And here's a great account that Kennedy had. And he called it shaped by white flyer. So he says that the children basically was around the fire, open fire at night. This accounts from 1885, and this is a home in Wexford. And basically you had the ashes and you had a piece of straw on it, and you'd be shaving off with a bit of the straw. And then he wrote, when the straw falls, which it must do sooner or later, the last operator must suffer in the body or goes a general cuffing, right? So you've got a few boxes, I'd say, for doing it, right? So this idea of that little bit of an edge to stuff was always there, right? Now, I'm going to listen to these two men. These are men up near North Gorey, and they call it Blackman Night because that's what they call it, right? But I'll let you listen to what they said about Halloween night, right? Just to hear that little bit of that stuff in it. And the fact that when you get out, you can't see small icons on your computer. That's the problem. Eyesight going, that's. Here we go, Jim and Paddy Hughes.
Halloween night, you didn't call it Halloween night.
No, we call it Blackman night.
Blackman night.
Blackman night. Yeah. Right around to different houses.
Dressed up,
And you got stuff in different houses. And people throw out coins, you put them on the frying pan or something, and heat them on the fire, and you throw them on the floor, and we go pick them up for that.
You have to do something if you went to someone's house.
Well, that's just it. But basically, imagine that. Leaving them up, throwing them on the floor and get a chap just for the cracks. So. If you want to pick it up, that's exactly. So it could go both ways. Are we okay for another few minutes? Yeah. There's that. Come here, Halloween games. I want to let you listen to this woman, but she was lovely. She's since passed 2006 or whatever that. But she was on about Halloween games, and she's on about the plate game. Did any of you play that? She was from Castlebridge in Westford. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, if up here in Offaly, did you how many plates would you have had?
5, 4 or 5. 5, I think.
And what would you have on them?
Water was one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, the stick is there, yeah. Water was there. I suppose it was their coins, I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was definitely the ring.
And it was,
which was the ring.
we used to blacken the bottom of a plate
Right.
with a candle.
Right.
And you'd have to
do something like
dip your hand in the water and you move it all over your face. And you'd end up flat, you know.
What do you do?
The person didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh,
I
I
remember
bet you.
your hand in the water and you had your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Dip your hand in the water, touch the bottom of the plate and rub your face.
Oh, brilliant.
if you like hold it in the bed, maybe like rubbing this and then you do then it's close your eyes and then rub it on your cheeks or whatever. I can't remember how it works, but you end up everyone will be laughing at you like open your eyes like what's so funny?
I'll show you the clip here from Carol. It's a lovely game. And here's back to the crack again of just doing something different, being disorientated, having your eyes closed, being spun around, you know that kind of way. And other people, there's just, I suppose there's very human things there, like there's very kind of just instinctive kind of things. I'll let you look at a little clip here. I'll carry on for another 10 minutes with you. I'll get out your hair then or answer questions. Yeah. The plate game. I have a little clip from kids in Carlow doing it like me. And it's just the excitement. It was the first time we were playing it in Carlow town a couple of years ago.
You can have to go with everyone else. You can have to go with no, not yet. Just why you're fighting for a minute then.
And it goes on like that. Yeah, you're on to the heart. What that meant. But it's funny, I've noticed the fact that we had water in it meant there was immigration was just part of the story. The fact that it was just part of life, immigration was there, right? It was part of the whole experience of life. But again, you see chaps that are playing for the first time, God, just a bit of energy off it, right? A bit of crack off it, right? They're playing the game. Where, it's simple stuff. But I came across a woman the other day today put coins in their apples from an old woman from the Snorty. Put coins in their apples. And again, I was wondering myself how they must have to keep biting it, right? Yeah. Keep the coins in it, right? Bobbing for apples, simple stuff. But that's just right across the Englishness, the Welshness, those games are right across. I came across this in Donegal, but I came across an account in the Welsh newspaper last night about it as well. But you come across it in the school's folklore collection. The idea of putting horse chestnuts in the fire, and you pick a boy or a girl's name, usually girls play this game, of the boy they were going to marry, and put it in the fire. And if it stayed in the fire and didn't pop out, it meant he was going to be loyal and stay with you. And if he popped out, then he was going to do that. So right? Another one again, I came across in Wales, came across it here, going to bed and putting your boots at the end of the bed, and then when you get up in the morning, your license will spell out who you're going to marry. Right? All of marriage lads, and you probably heard this one in English terms, yeah. And there's another one with an apple as well.
Oh, you stick the...
Yeah, a few times and keep going. Yeah, so loads of that kind of crack there.
They were for the girls that were desperate.
Yeah. You got to eat the apple in the end, so right? But come here, here's another thing. There's all about apples and yolks. So there's loads of games around your future and stuff like that. There's loads, we could read into it in some ways, too much in some ways. But here's one thing again, and we all know the story that every pumpkin farmer in the country would probably want to have me killed now, right? For over years I was on about turnips, because we all turnips or sugar beets, whatever. Pumpkins are they're easy, like, turnips are pure arse to carve. Right? But here's a lovely image of home from Gory. And again, images like this are rare as hen's teeth because we never took photographs. Like, no, you're busy doing something, you don't take photographs traditionally, unless someone came and did it. And one thing as well, I suppose, with me and my work, is I like to see things in kind of full colour. I hate going back looking at folklore and lads showing photographs in the 1940s. So that kind of bores me a little bit. You know, it's almost like accepting that what we're doing now is not real or it's not happening. You know, and we see stuff happening now. Like I see so much contemporary stuff happening now with layers of different people, different things that are real. You know, but I suppose that's what I do. But see, the young ones dress up, some of their masks, some didn't have masks. But you see the old turnips here at the bottom, right? That was only a family photograph, no biscuiting photograph. But it's a great photograph. Did you use carved turnips or beads here at all?
Yeah, my mother did every year.
Yeah.
Just check her hours to do it.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you one thing, whenever I do it as well, I know I won't show you Pat Brennan. I'll show you in a second. Actually, that was one, another way now to call him Jack the Lantern? Jack-o'-lantern. And there's just mad stories out there. Jeez, I read some of the stuff and I go, that's just ridiculous. But I remember recording, I'll play a clip, we call it Jack the Lantern, or Jackie the Lantern, so we called it, right? It wasn't ever Jack-o'-lantern. Because some people say Jack-o'-lantern is from the Irish word for one of the names, one of the stories where they say, jeez, that's, but it was Jack the Lantern, it's found over the English folk for long. But the idea of seeing lights was always a real common thing, right? The idea of lights. I'll tell you, I'll show you the turnip in a second and I'll play one from off in a second. But there's a turnip carved, right? And I'll tell you one thing, if we're answering I don't know, no time for hardship, right? That's sharpen the spoon, sticking out candle in it, and then you brought it out, right? You brought it out on the light, right? But there's when you live in the shed for too long. There's how the age, right? But come here, I'm going to go back to the old turnips for you. Practical thing. Again, theories out there. I know a lot of people who, on All Souls night, put the candle out. You know when you put the candle out? Turnip was a real handy too. Turnip was handy, right? You cut the bottom of a turnip and you put a hole in it and you got a candle holder, right? And I came across a man the other night, I came across a woman in Clare recently, they said at Christmas time, didn't they mind put up a Christmas candle? Yeah. What did he use? Turnip. But some people said, I heard mad stories saying that turnips represent the heads were dead. You know, all this kind of woo-woo stuff, whatever it's on, whatever, it's mad stuff, it doesn't make any sense. I think it's a very practical reason. I remember even recording a traveller woman saying as well, they'd always put their candle in a big spud on All Souls all over. And Granny of them would always put a candle, and I used to remember putting a candle in a bucket of sand, because it wouldn't fall over and burn down the house, because the house fires were common, right? So sometimes there's very practical reasons why we did stuff, right? And obviously if you're a little child out at night time and a little coat hanger and a turnip and a little tiny bit of light that would put your mobile phone probably 500 times brighter at this stage, which was great magic going out in the dark and using candle. There's magic there, right? I'll let you listen to a little woman here from Offaly here for you. Some of the Offaly stuff, are you okay for a minute or two? Are you? Yeah. This is just talking to Willie the Whistle, Seeing Lights. It's not really Halloween related, but just this woman's main one has passed away.
Willie the Whistle, now, he played a stray. He come in the form of a light. You're following the light, now that time there's no lights or anything, now the road out was completely pitch dark. And you follow the light and you lead you straight, you'd have to stay wherever you were all night, wherever you lead you to. The next morning you get private to see where you were. I tell you Willie the Whistle, did indeed.
And there is the time to see this big ball, violet, round the bed, about that size, and the court door and all was up and down the right across, from one end of it, up to the right Stephen, in the night, and they said it was some kind of a board, wasn't it? No, it wasn't a board, it's something about my bog. I forget this.
I'll stop it there, but just give it, the first one was from Ballygar, I would have recorded when I was working with G years ago here, but the idea of seeing lights was common, the idea of seeing lights. You probably heard that people seeing lights, the way to get rid of lights was, you went to the priest, said, someone looking for a prayer, was that the kind of classic thing? Sometimes the priest would charge you, so it was a win-win. Happy days, see all the lights, but seeing lights, but people tend to call it Jack the Lantern, or Jackie the Lantern was what we call it, right? And if you read anywhere it says Jack-o'-lantern from the Irish name, they're wrong, they're not, that's not the case at all, right? Come here, back to here. turnips. And one place is a constant time with you. But this man here, he's since passed away as well, but he just lovely accounts. When you talk to people, and I always recording stuff, and recording stuff because I can't remember it, and I literally record it because then I can look back 10 years time and go, geez, I remember a man told me this, or a woman told me that. But he said he used to go to the fields and rob them and bring them out in the 1950s for little turnips like that, little lads going, you know. And they said it had to be robbed, you know, that kind of way. Yeah, yeah, it had to be robbed in a field. That's another thing. Did you use the word feck up here for robbing in Offaly? Feck something, yeah? That's what he said. Actually feck. But speaking of fecking as well, the common one all over the country was fecking heads of cabbage. Danny, has come across that on Halloween night? You'll come across that in the school's folklore collection. You'll come across a Newfoundland and an awful lot. And it was really harmless. Getting a head of cabbage and kicking it down the road. Like, that was a night out. Like, that's as good as it got, like, right? And they had a cabbage and they banged on doors. Sometimes washing lines were cut. But this head of cabbage was the biggest crack ever, apparently, right? And you come across loads of accounts of that. Now, break some hearts. These are women over there, the man, carving turnips. They call it huptune. There's still a video of women, young ones in Holland carving turnips. And I can show you images from Germany as well, right? This is back to St. Martin's night, the 11th. And what they do in Holland, is parts of Holland and Germany still, again, depending on the pockets where you are, the little ones will go up on St. Martin's night with their little lanterns. Now they don't make the little beat ones anymore as much as what I can see. The kids are making them in school with paper mache ones, and they carry them all out, and some go knocking on doors. But in most cases, they'll have a bonfire, and they'll have a little fire like that. These are from Germany, right? And you'll find this right across Europe, and pockets right across Europe, right? So they're very similar, because fire was always really important in our one as well. And the gas thing, St. Martin's Eve, night, the 11th of November, you'll come across the towns here. Do you know what they call it? Old Halloween, right? Right? In the same way, some people call Little Christmas Old Christmas, because it's 12 days. Remember that you shift in the calendar? Yeah. It's 11, 12 days that happened, right? So you can come across from the school's folklore collection, you come across other source accounts as well of it called Halloween Old Christmas. Called the 11th of November Old Halloween. And the accounts I came across one in Donegal. And what did the children do on Old Halloween? They did exactly what they did on Halloween. They went around and robbed the heads of cabbage and kicked them down the road, right? That's what they did, right? Just to get the part two of the wedding, right? And there's the Welsh, the Manx are big into it at the moment, right? Just great recordings from the man around Halloween, right? Bonfires, we always do bonfire Halloween night. We didn't do it, but we always, on a May Day in the home, was a big, that's when the bonfires were big in our part of Wexford, North Wexford was always big, right? Even in the towns of Arthur and Cork, the bonfires were big, right? Even if you work for fire brigades, I say they hate Halloween. Like, Dublin's full of it, like Cork is to some degree. Cork on, did you use Cork do one a night? They did the 23rd of June. Cork is full of bonfires in 23rd. So we have bonfires were always really important at the end of the year. And I was only reading the account of the life in the 1840s, and it was bonfires in Scotland, and the English royal family were up in Balmoral, and there were big bonfires there as well. So they leave fires to mark those turnip nights, or they're there in different disguises. I won't show you this. It's a man over in Newfoundland, again, the same thing again, over in the rural community, on Tipperary really, they said most of them were, and they talked about bonfires, and lighting tar mops, they call them, and having, because you see them still, I've seen them in Ireland still, seen them in Kerry, you know, like sods of turf stuck up on the sprung, and you'd be marching down the road. You see them photographs from Kerry, you see them from Tarbert for New Year stuff.
We did that in Tullamore on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
there's a march, it brings in the New Year, we say, on each of the 5 roads.
That's exactly what they do in Tarbert, They come from different angles. Are you serious?
Yeah, every New Year's. It starts about 11:20.
Yeah.
And there's a march,
And you're invited.
Yeah,
I'm there.
And there's a dance after.
Yeah.
And the turf is on 2 forks.
Forks, yes.
In the front of the march,
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And this
There's
man,
and
this man, But that's brilliant, because I only came across a woman I know, because Liz Bogdan, originally Wexford, lives over in Tarbert. She says to do it over there and sent me videos of it. That's the great thing we're living in a world now, lads. Like before, we can tell our own history. I think there's great power in local groups being able to record and tell their own stories. But kind of way, because sometimes you're waiting for the film crew to come down to do it for you. They're not going to come down. They'll pick the easy option, or whoever's got, you know, that kind of way. And you go, why do we exist at all? You know? So that's like that. And the world we live in now is we can share that stuff. You can put it up in book place and I can see it. You're not aware. Or I know simply these boys in Newfoundland, we go over. Should they do stuff in the middle of February? And I said, will you film that for me? No, I know what. Next minute I got a video on my phone. And sure, there'd be lads years ago would have been traveling. You know, you'd be traveling for 3 days to try to get that recording. You know, so the world we're living in, we can use tools better, you know, for that to tell those stories. But come here, we're going to end with this. The importance of life, back to the idea of fire. bonfires are one thing, right? But I think one of the lovely things I like around that time of year is All Souls Day, right? The idea of All Souls, and the idea of that the dead came back, right? And that was a belief that some might have, or whether you believe it or not, it's a different thing. But the idea that our dead were close to us in that time of year, right? And then again, it's not just Irish, right? We look at the Polish community here. The Polish community would ask many of them, they would visit graves, and those graves are fully thanked on All Souls Night. And they were around that time. I'm beginning to see it happening a little bit here as well, right? Obviously, look at Central America, South America, the Day of the Dead, the Spanish. I'd say it's a huge Christian story there. Probably another there before, but definitely a strong Christian thing. The idea of your dead came back, right? So the idea of the dead coming back, and leaving a candle out for the welcome to souls. That's what I do. I do that. I saw it being done at home. I'll show you another video in a second. I'll tell you what. Where am I gone? No, I'm going to show you something. The idea of welcoming the souls back. Granny home. I'm going to show you a little recording of Granny. This is in 2002. What they did.
Well, in my younger days, I don't know, they used to sweep up the floor, leave it nice and clean, and the chair there with the towel and a little place to walk on. And a nice little fire, and that's all I know, and a candle. And you wouldn't be allowed to stir that candlestick from wherever they put and they lighted.
So that's just a very simple account of it. Bothered or a liner, and I'll show you some other accounts of Mayo, and one of them is Motley actually, and one Tipperary. You probably had this yourselves, you had that story. Did you have that here? The souls going back on All Souls Night, and you welcome me. Yeah. And I'll be done in 5 minutes.
And you presumed that they would come to Christmas. I was there again in the morning.
Souls Night, you didn't throw out tea or any liquids. You put them in a bucket or a basin at the end of the kitchen, and you left the back and the front door opened for the souls to come through, that there was welcome for them. And we used to be, it was so real, it was so important, like we really felt that our grannies and granddads were coming through.
Like on All Souls, like nobody went out of the house. Well, we didn't anyhow, because they always believed like that the dead came back to visit.
It's All Souls Night, and you did the visits. So you went to the Priory, or we used to Priory, which was the nearest to us, and you did an Our Father, Hail Mary, and a glory for each person of your family that was predeceased you. And then you did a round of the town afterwards, look in the windows. We all dressed up for Holy Thursday night. And then you went home, and you set the table for people that were dead belonging to you, and you let them out food. You let the place set, and you left them food, and you lit a candle, and you went to bed. And you presumed that they would come. Of course, someone was there again in the morning, but it was gone. But you did it automatically, year in, year out.
Did you do that? I came across a deletion, setting the table for a travelling community, really strong in the travelling community. Said I record loads of accounts of travelling community. They believe in cans, box of bags, packs of cards. An old man unleashed on their spinking. He said his father always said it, and they'd always leave table set. And then they get up the next morning and it seems to be moved around. Enjoyed their imagination, right? But it's powerful. But remember the dead was really important that time of year, and at Halloween. I think that's, maybe as we're getting older as well, people are passing on in their own lives, it becomes more important. But I think that to me is always important. Fire and death were always important, and remember the dead. One thing which comes back to the thing of roads, we always had the thing at home said that we'd never throw water. Mammy and them said they'd never throw water on All Souls Night. Said you'd wet the souls, and that little saying called hug of the teapot jacket, right? That was a little saying they had up in Offaly 2007, and here's women in Offaly going, oh, look at that. And we say hug of the Tishka Solomon, and I recorded in Offaly since as well. And hug it's from the Irish, how would you say off the top of my head what it means? It's an unusual one. It's a little warning, here I'm coming or something. It's escaped me right now exactly what it means. It's not a standard Irish word, it's kind of an actor word, but it said it's a breakdown of that to warn the souls, right? And even I remember recording traveller women, they said as well, oh God, no, you couldn't draw water that night. And they even remember being in their little tents on the side of their own, and be told to go in and stay in the tents, and they had to split outside with the candle, and then you couldn't store on. You couldn't be able to, the souls would be walking that night, you wouldn't bother the souls. I'm going to show you two more little clips, and I'll end it there with you, right? I'm going to let you listen to a woman from Tipperary, Waterford, but Tipperary, and she was on about this spirit, she said, a puka or a devil, that would come And it's a small clip. She's on Halloween night. Now some people said he didn't throw out stuff. You know the way the date was added. You know the way the dates were added. You know the way the dates were layered. All Saints Day and All Souls Day, right? You know with Christianity. You know we had May Bush, then we also had the May Altar. You know the kind of just little layers built on top of each other. And I always found it funny that All Saints Day came before the All Souls Day. The Saints got the first one in, right? But this woman here, listen to her and one more clip for you, and I'll let you go.
The poker. This was a man. This was the day actually supposed to be, and he went around the night before Halloween night. This is Halloween night, yeah, looking for children. His cross would be put on the door going in, and on the house going in, the way the poker couldn't come in, like the sign of the cross. So anyway, he got in on it, and he went upstairs. Apparently, my grandfather said this one. And he went up along the stairs, no song at all. And she was giving up the rosary, the grandmother, or the mother, I don't know which one. But anyway, she couldn't get out the rosary pieces in order to listen. And she had a bottle of holy water. And she cut the bottle of water and she said, snotty nose, I'm drowned, she said. That's how she got rid of the pope. I didn't take any of the spirit, so that's a funny story supposed to be. But I don't think that the present children of the country would believe the half of that. Like, he was evil, you see. This is what she was getting rid of. And they'd say the act of contrition, and there was only a man go.
But there's that general story that it was bad that night as well. Bad that came out. And you can see why the story of people dressing up and all those stories kind of grow legs. But the idea definitely the bad, this figure could come and take a child, or he could take a soul, or he could take, you know, he could do harm. So there's that. I'm going to end with one little thing for you. I'm going to show you a clip of the girls at home singing that huggada thing. And look out awfully for that word huggada, right? For if you're asking anyone, because it's the only place I think they call it was here, going out in the huggadas, right? And I one thing that struck me sometimes. We've loads of folk practices, right? We've no songs about them. Again, we're probably too busy doing them. You know that kind of way? There's very few songs. We have the songs for hunting around, but we don't have any songs reflecting on hunting around. Maybe the boys born in Shawd might be one of them. But other, do you know what I mean, don't you? We've no songs on the Maybush. Very few. You know, very few reflective songs. But again, we're probably too busy doing the stuff to be in a reflective mode. So a couple of years ago, I wrote this for the girls at home. 3 girls. They were black-haired and this and that. So they did not want to be filmed, right? We have to pay them sometimes. So, and it's just that, and should I just know a little bit about it? But you see the hook.
At Halloween in the dark of night, when our visits on, we look some sight. All dressed up in outhouse clothes, covered up from our heads to our toes, with a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you there, watch your back with a hookada, your mother said. Nice for the living and the dead. We traipsed the fields and walked the roads, all dressed up with our heavy loads. We met the puka and the bow, the devil knows what black dogs themselves. With a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you there, watch your back with a hookada, your mother said. Nice for the living and the dead. Well, who are you? They would say we've come from far, far, far away. Sure you wouldn't know me at all, my father's boots and my mother's shawl. With a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you'd better watch your back with a hookada, my mother said. Tonight's for the living and the dead. Be careful now on the outback roads, for the ball man there, he's known to stroll. And he tried to nip his way to steal them off and their souls away. With a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you'd better watch your back with a hookada, your mother said. Tonight's for the living and the dead. We met Willie the Wisp and Jack the lad, the blue cheek palm and he's half mad. We played cards with the devils and songs we sang, and shared our money and called cannon. With a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you'd better watch your back with a hookada, your mother said. Tonight's for the living and the dead. Homeward bound before midnight, walking the roads in the full moonlight. We bid good night to the poor of souls, and come next year we'll meet you all. With a hookada, tail pot jack. Tonight you better watch your back with a hookada, your mother said. Tonight's for the living and
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you.
Good stuff. Johnny, throw it mail, you're done. Happy enough. Happy enough, good. Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for coming along and sharing.
Thank you.
Enjoy Halloween.
Thank you very much.